Sukina, I think what you said about this need to create feminine spaces for women, is just so vital and so important. And I know it was the intention around She Recites. How do we hold and archive and platform women's stories, where women's arts, devotional arts, women's devotion to Allah and to the service of serving Islam and other Muslims and community beyond Muslims as well can be held?
One of the issues I think when it comes to the feminine space is that we've looked at our deen and the traditions of our deen from a Western gaze. So we see the female space, or we've experienced the female space as somewhere that we've been carted off to, like, go over there, woman, right? And what actually we need to do and what's starting to happen is that we own the space. It's different. No one's putting baby in the corner. You know what I'm saying? We're like, excuse me, we are owning this space, and we're not, disenfranchised. We're not oppressed. I see even in Senegal, sometimes I see men, like, boys will try and walk through the women's section to get out of the mosque, and the women are like, get out of here, right? This is our space, and owning that and owning the virtue of what happens when women gather for the sake of Allah. Like, what magic can happen when women gather for the sake of the love of Rasulullah. I've seen magic happen on Zoom just by women gathering for the sake of, you know what I'm saying? So I think that it's important, especially for young Muslim women as well. Like, it's not us talking about female only spaces isn't because we're not allowed in the men's spaces, isn't because we even necessarily want to be in men's spaces. Sometimes it's because we recognize what happens when we gather, when the recitation that we hear is from us, And
I love that. The way you said, like, reclaim, it's like you're reclaiming your own story, and we're providing and the way you mentioned safe space, I love that, because we're creating a safe space for ourselves, not because now we're necessarily, quote unquote, a victim, or we are second class citizen. Actually, we're wanting to level the playing field and say, you know what, you want us to be in a segregated space, here's our segregated space.
Sheikh Ibrahim was very much, he pushed that. He said to his daughters, compete with men in knowledge, right? Compete with men in knowledge. And so this is, I think, part of the framework of our communities. Like, when I was in Medina Bay this year, I was in my sheikh's house, and there was a ceremony for a boy and a girl who had both completed the recitation of Quran, the memorization of Quran, boy and a girl. It wasn't just the boys that are pushed towards it. So, it's so intrinsic that in some ways it's not even like a sort of moment for people there. It's not like, oh my God, there's a shikha. It's just like, sometimes you'll see female sheikhas, and they've got their murids walking behind them, and people rushing to them to get dua. What even gave me the desire to stay in Medina Bay for 9 months, and just to put into context, only 3 months of those 9 months was I with my husband. So for 6 months I was alone. I was alone living there. And part of what made me feel comfortable enough to stay there was the way in which I was treated as a woman from the first trip that I went there. It's small things. It's small things like walking into a room and the sheikh greets you by name in a massive group. Sakina, marhaban, salam alaikum, how are you? It's something about that validates you, right? It makes you feel welcome. It makes you feel seen. You're not shunned into, prior to that, I'm used to kind of going to masjids in England, and we're pushed into corners. And if we leave at the same time as the men leave, we should quickly put our shoes on, and it's kind of annoying if you got shoes with loads of laces. There's times when I've taken my shoes out of the masjid and put them on the street, so that I'm not kind of, in the way of men. And I mean, it was ridiculous. I don't even know why, and those same men will be going to work and talking to Susan and Sarah and Jane in the staff room with their little Sakina trying to just praise Allah. It's like, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, what?
This is real talk right here. # real talk.
You know what I'm saying? And so to go to a community where you're validated is really, as a woman, as a seeker, is really, really important. And the shayukh, they recognize what you're there for. They know what you're there for.